Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about getting married abroad. I got married abroad 5 years ago in Rhodes, Greece, and so I thought I would share my tips, things to consider, that kind of thing. So I'll get straight into it. I will put some photographs in here and there so you can see what we got up to and how it looked. But yeah, I'll just get started. So we always knew we wanted to get married abroad. I had no intention of ever having a big church wedding. A hotel wedding over here in the UK didn't appeal to me whatsoever either. Mainly, I didn't want a massive wedding, and we love travelling, so we have always just said if we get married we would be going abroad. I originally thought I would be going somewhere like the Caribbean, but when it came down to it I figured that it is a long way to ask somebody to go, and actually it's very expensive. So we've been to Greece quite a few times, not to Rhodes but to Greece, and we just love the authenticity of it and thought it's not too far, 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and you're guaranteed the weather. So we just set ahead looking online at possible destinations. We had no intention of visiting the location before we actually did get married, because we wanted it a surprise for us on the wedding day too. I did have a friend that had got married abroad the year previous, and they had given me a few tips about finding a British wedding planning company. I was always warned off companies such as Thomas Cook, Thompson, First Choice, all of those kind of holidays, because they are primarily holiday companies. They're very good at what they do, and although they organise quite a lot of weddings, it's a more conveyor belt style. I don't know if that's true or not because I never used them, so I cannot comment on that, but I have heard quite a few negative stories or so-so stories from them. So we found a fantastic company called Lindos Weddings over in Rhodes, and they were a British couple that moved out there about 10 years previous, and I just started to get in contact with them and ask them what destinations that they worked with, what hotels they provided, food, photographers, all that kind of stuff that you want to know to try and gauge a visual imagination of what your wedding could look like. So they had a great website, and they sent me lots and lots of information via email about the choices I would have in terms of towns, so what town I could get married in Rhodes, what location I could actually do our vows in. So in Greece we couldn't actually get married within a church or a chapel because we're not Greek Orthodox, which suited us because that's not what we wanted. We did actually get married outside an old disused chapel, but purely for the views. I will insert some photos here of it looking out over Lindos Bay, and also the photo opportunities were nice. Just below the chapel that we chose was a boutique hotel, a 5-star hotel, very very small one, an intimate hotel, and again where you sat and ate lunch and your meal, it was overlooking the bay, so that's exactly what we wanted. We had various different options. We could have got married on the beach, at a harbour, at a hotel again, so if you wanted to get married in a hotel and stay there you could, but in the end we went for this chapel, outside of the chapel, and the hotel, the Mylenos. We decided on a meze style meal because that's what we thought was quite authentic and that's what we fancied, and because it was working out relatively cheap to get married abroad, we thought we would invest our money into the food. After all, our guests had come a long way to see us get married, so we thought, well, we could at least, you know, treat them in that way. But our other option, well, there was loads of options, but our other second choice was a barbecue on the beach, and there's part of me that still thinks we should have done that, because it's very relaxed and calm, and that's a bit like the vibe that we wanted for the day. But it just seemed to fit from where we went from the chapel to the hotel, and then we actually went on to another venue for dancing in the evening, which was actually an open air cafe, but by night they have it as a venue for parties. Other things to consider when you're getting married abroad, not only are your wedding planners obviously look for reviews on those and try and get a bit of a rapport going with them, so you can trust that it's going to be what you want it to be when you go. But there are things like transporting your dress, your suits, and all of anything you need to take for the wedding on the day. So you'll see lots and lots of different stories about taking your wedding dress abroad, things you should do, things you shouldn't do. I was also told, do not be separated from your dress, because if your suitcases go missing, okay, most of it will be replaceable, but your wedding dress will not. What I did was pack it into a hand luggage hard case with acetone-free tissue paper. I packed it myself. Most wedding stores will pack them for you if you choose to, but I did it myself and just carried it on as hand luggage and didn't let it out of my sight. You can buy boxes, but you have to be careful because some airlines don't like them. They don't see them as hand luggage. Some will, and also some of the box dimensions are actually too big. And also I thought a box, it could get bashed around, whereas a case, I felt myself it was easier to transport around because I could wheel it and it was a bit more sturdy. Other things to consider are you may not have the same amount of guests as you would have here in the UK. We were actually very lucky and really surprised that we had a lot more guests than we anticipated come over to Greece with us. It was like overwhelming, the amount of people that came. We didn't expect it at all. I think we expected half of the amount that actually came. But yeah, be aware that you may upset people. People may not come that wanted to come, and you've just got to be prepared to stand by your ground. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. Other things to consider are what time of day you get married, because if you are in a hot country at a particular peak time in the year, then you've got to consider how hot it's going to be for your wedding party. You may be able to cope with 36-degree temperatures in your wedding dress or suit, but your elder guests or your children, you do need to be considerate over those, because we actually got married at 4:15, which allowed the peak time to go away, although it was still very, very hot. Thinking about it now, I wish we'd pushed it to 5 o'clock, but it seemed to flow nicely into drinks, speeches, cutting the cake, and then on to the meal. Or your invitation packs for inviting to the wedding. We sent a save the date invitation, so when we knew what we'd booked, where we were looking at, we sent a save the date, like a heads up, this is where we're getting married on this date, more information will follow. It allowed people to have a look at holidays, look at their annual leave and consider, could they come, could they not come, and actually most people booked their holiday once we'd sent out that information. Then closer to the time, about 4 months before, we sent out a detailed information pack. This had directions to the venue where we were actually getting married, directions to the reception venue, directions to our hotel and contact information for both myself, Ben and our parents in case anybody needed to, and also our wedding planners who were going to be there on the day. We put quite clearly in the instructions if anyone has any issues on the day to contact them rather than us, so we didn't need to think about that. Other information was a request for any dietary requirements, a brief rundown of the menu, not giving too many details away because we wanted some surprises, and some tips. So where we were getting married was very cobbly, so we just said, ladies, you might want to wear flats and put on your heels later on if you're wearing any heels. What else? Yeah, and just we put in some information about the local area so that people could see about the area, see where they're going, see what they're going to get up to. The reason we put our accommodation details in is if anybody needed to come and see us in the days running up, or if they wanted to. We also had a meal in the running up to it, so that was nice as well to do that. Not all of our guests stayed in the same hotel. 70% of people did, which was nice. But it didn't matter that some didn't stay in our hotel. It was just nice to actually be able to go and visit them, or them visit us actually. And some of my family I didn't see until the day, which was really nice as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, please do let me know. about the finances or the organisation of it, the planning, the invitations, anything, and I will do what I can to help. Thanks for watching. Bye.